Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Hopefully everyone can hear me a little bit better. I am going to be doing 3 looks using one palette, and I'm going to be using the Pumpkin Spice palette from Too Faced. Hopefully the audio is a little bit better. In the video I did where I reviewed this, people can't hear me really well, so hopefully you can hear me a little bit better. I did order a microphone. It hasn't come in yet, but hopefully the sound is better in this one. There hasn't been a lot of videos on these. I guess people didn't receive this in PR, and a lot of people didn't go out and purchase it. So I thought I would do 3 looks, one palette, because I do really enjoy this. So yeah, let's jump into it. I'm going to be using the Maybelline Master Prime base, and you'll have to forgive me. I don't have any foundation on. I did do my eyebrows. I'm going to be filming the looks back to back, and I just thought it would be easier to not have to redo my foundation every single time. So hopefully me not having the rest of my face done isn't too distracting. We'll see how this goes. Leave me a comment down below, like if it bothers anyone if I don't have foundation on, because I can definitely do that in the next one, because I have a few palettes I want to do these kind of videos with. So this is the first one, so we'll see how it goes. And also, I want to know, did anybody else buy this? Does anybody else like it? I like it. I've been enjoying it. Like I said, I haven't seen a lot of videos on it, so it's not like a big popular item compared to the gingerbread spice palette that everybody got. I will say, in my initial review, I did say that it had kind of a chemically smell. That has gone. It's dissipated. It's a light, sweet, kind of spicy smell. I can see where they were trying to make it smell like pumpkin spice. It doesn't smell like pumpkin spice to me. I do have a little bit of a head cold, so if I sound funny, I'm still getting over it. But from what I can smell, there is kind of a sweet, spicy smell. It smells kind of like the lip gloss. The lip gloss to me smells a lot more like pumpkin spice. I'll try and dig it out. I talked about it in the review video, but yeah, let's get into it. Here is the palette. If you didn't watch the review video, they kind of set it up into quads where I guess you could do like this a look, this is a look, this is a look, this is a look. But like this one, I guess this is a matte shade. This is kind of a shimmer, but I'm not going to do like the 4 separate quads. I may be pulling from one quad more than the other when I do this, but we'll just see how it goes. The first look, I'm going to take Oh My Gourd, which is a nice, it's just a matte brown. I'm just taking this on a Morphe PK36, and I'm going to put that up in the crease. Now this is a very neutral palette. There's not huge pops of color aside from those burgundy shades in the lower corner. I'm just doing the same thing on the other side. This is going to be just a nice transition color. I'm going to do more of a pumpkin-y spice look for the first look. I didn't really I looked at the palette thinking, you know, what different looks do I want to do? I have been using this quite a bit. What do I want to show people? But I didn't map out, I'm going to do this look, and this look. So we'll kind of see how this evolves. I'm going to go into Pretty as a Pumpkin next, which is the one orangey shade in this palette. I have a color switch, so I have a bunch of eyeshadow brushes, but I typically use same 2 brushes for the whole look when I'm doing my makeup in the morning, and I think it's just a time saving factor for me. I'm going back into the crease. I have really small eyes, by the way. I mean, they're not the smallest eyes you'll ever see, but there are, Kathleen Lights has really big eyes, so she has more lid space. So I feel like there are some looks that I'm a little bit limited to because if I try and put too many colors into my crease or all over my lid, it tends to look a little muddy because the space is smaller than like the person I'm watching, whereas I've tried to, like I said, I've tried to recreate some of Kathleen Light's looks, and some of them don't turn out exactly, and I think it took me a while to figure out that her lid space is bigger than my lid space. Everybody's eyes are different shapes, so I've had to manipulate. So I feel like these looks, I'm going to probably be putting the eyeshadow in the same spots. I'm just using different colors, but I'm limited, I feel like, with some things because I have a little bit of a hooded eye, so cutting my crease is tricky. Doing cut crease looks is tricky. I have small eyelids, so hopefully these looks aren't super boring. So I'm just putting Pretty as a Pumpkin all over the crease, bringing it up, blending it out. And then I think on the lid, I'm going to take Golden Pumpkin, which is this super pretty gold. And this gold is different than the gold in the gingerbread palette. This is, to me, like a true, like foiled. And I'm just going to put that on my eyelid using my finger. And I can use a flat brush. I like to go in with my finger with this shade first, and then I'll go in with a flat brush on top of it. I like to kind of stamp it down with my finger. I'm just doing the same thing on both sides. This is a pretty like golden, like pumpkin spicy look. To me, like this is the look that you really think about, like I think about when I think about this palette, because it is a pumpkin spice palette. And I'm going to go in the same brush. I haven't cleaned it off, so there's still a little bit of that orangey, and just blend it out because some of that shimmer went up into my crease. I'm just blending that out, and then I'm going to go in. This is from Alamar Cosmetics. It's just a flat brush. I'm going to go back in with that gold. And this is a foiled, so it is hard to pick it up on a brush. And this is definitely one, if you want to stamp, really like have some staying power, you're going to want to put some concealer down, which is normally what I do. But I'm not looking for staying power right now. I'm just trying to get the look on. But it'll definitely give it something to stick to because it is like a foiled. It's not like a shimmer. It's more of a foiled shadow. So it helps to have something to cling to. And then I'm going to go into Pumpkin Spice up here. It's a warm brown, and I'm going to take a smaller, probably the Sigma E36. It's a really little brush because I want to put some of that deeper shade just out in the corner to kind of deepen up the outer. Taking it on the other side. I'm just putting it in the outer corner. And this isn't like significantly darker, but it is going to give it a little bit of depth because there's not a ton of dark shades in this palette. So I like to put that in. And then I'm going to go in with Fall into Fudge, which is a little bit darker. Same brush. Haven't cleaned it off. And I'm going to take that just in the very outer. And that's just going to give it a little bit of depth. So I did the darker shade all over, and then this one's just in the very outer corner. It just gives it some dimension. And then I'm going to clean that off. And like I said, I'm pretty like, I have all these brushes and I typically use the same ones over and over when I'm doing eye looks. This is BOM 18 from Royal and Lay Nickel. It's just a little definer brush. I'm going to go in with Pretty as a Pumpkin. Again, that's that orange shade, and I'm just going to take that on the bottom. If you've watched some of my videos, you know I go to beauty school during the day. This is a look that I've been wearing to school quite a bit. I've done it with this palette, and then I've recreated the same look using the gingerbread spice. So there's some similar colors in there. They're not the same colors, but I like the warm browns and the gold. And then I'm gonna take a little bit with this. This is a Sigma flat definer E15, and I'm gonna take Fall into Fudge, that dark shade that we put just in the very corner. And I'm going to do a little bit of that just in the outer third of my eye. So that's the first look. Very pumpkin spice, very fall, warm browns. Oh, and then just to finish it, Love You a Latte is a cream shade. And I'm just going to put that above the brow bone. If you want a shimmery on top, something sweet is a sparkly, like you can pop some of that in the inner corner. I have a pencil brush in here. This is a Morphe M168. And I'll just go into something sweet. It's a little bit shimmery, and we'll just put that kind of in the inner corner. Brighten that up. So there's look number 1 using the Pumpkin Spice palette. So give me just a moment and we'll come back and we'll do look number 2. Okay, and we're back. I took the first look off. I reprimed my eyes. I'm going to be using the Maybelline primer this whole time, so I reprimed my eyes. Okay, I'm going to go in with the Love You a Latte shade, this creamy one up here on the top, and I'm just going to put that all over my lid. It's kind of a neutrally base. And we're going to go in with some of there's some light pinks in this palette, so let's do a look with that. Completely take it away from the pumpkin spice look. I'm going to bring this up under my brow bone, and I may put a little bit more later. Okay. Go back in. I cleaned my brush off. Again, this is the PK36 from Morphe. It's just a fluffy blending brush. I'm going to go in with Oh My Gourd, again, this neutrally brown shade that I used as a transition color in the first look. For me, and my skin tone, this is a really good transition color. So I wouldn't say all of the looks, but most of the looks, this is the color I start off with just because it's the perfect transition shade for me. If you're a little bit deeper, pumpkin spice could work. You could even do Pretty as a Pumpkin, but I think overall for most people this is probably going to be a good transition color. So I'm going to do that on both sides. It's just a nice soft brown. It meshes well. It's not, the nice thing about this palette is I feel like all of these colors have similar undertones. They all mesh together. They all look good together. They don't clash. That's a nice thing, I guess, about it being a neutral palette. Okay, so that's just in the crease. I'm going to go in with Love and Pumpkins. It's this light pink shade. I'm going to clean this brush off. And we're going to put some of that over what I just laid down. This is a really soft pink. It's going to diffuse that brown and kind of change the tone of it a little bit, I feel like. And I'm actually just going to take this all over the lid and up into the crease. Having that underlying color, like I feel like it just deepens the pink up a little bit. Like to me it still looks pink, but up in the crease it's a little bit deeper. Just having that underlying color. Putting the pink just changes it. So you can see how one transition shade can be versatile depending on how you're using it and what you lay on top of it. So we have love and pumpkins all over the lid. Okay, I'm going to take Fall into Fudge, which is this deep shade. This is going to be a really simple look. I'm going to use, not this one, I'm going to take the smaller Morphe. It's a blending brush. This is an RG18. It's a small blending brush. We're going to do Fall into Fudge. I'm going to put this in the outer corners. Drag a little bit. What I like to do is I put it down and I take it all the way up to where the eyeshadow is and I blend it out, and then I blend, kind of drag the color backwards. It helps blend the color, but then I'm not taking it all the way into the crease. I'm kind of like dragging a little bit the opposite direction, if that makes sense, and then I'll go back the other way just to kind of blend it in, because I don't want it to go all the way in, but I want it to be kind of diffused and blended out, if that makes sense. So I'm going to go back in that Fall into Fudge one more time, do the same thing, and I'm just stamping that in the outer V. And blending it a little bit. And you see it, it's a pretty rich color, like doesn't take much. These blend really well. Just cleaning the brush off. And then I'm going to go in with that flat brush from Alamar Cosmetics, and I'm going to go into Blushing Pumpkins, and it's this really pretty pinky, the gold shift. Take that on the flat brush, and I'm going to be putting that right on the lid. I feel like it needs some concealer, so we're going to brush off that really quick. For concealer, I have a couple of different brushes that I use. Let me find it. Here's this. It's a dual, I got this off of Amazon, dual-ended. I'm going to take, I feel like that shadow needs something to stick to, so we're going to do that. I tried putting it just straight on the lid to see, and I'm not really liking how it's looking. So I'm just taking a little Tarte Shape Tape. And this is, in the first look, this is what I would have done with the gold. I was just trying to save some time. And that clung pretty well. If I was going to wear it out, I would definitely have done this. I feel like it gives the eyeshadow something to stick to. It helps neutralize. I do one eye at a time. I bring it over to the dark shade, and then I just stamp it to kind of feather out the concealer a little bit. Okay, flat brush. We're going to go back in with Blushing Pumpkins one more time. We're going to take that. I do one eye at a time so that the concealer doesn't dry down too much. Oh, that's better. Anything even remotely shimmery, metallic-y. It's kind of a cut crease, but not really. It's just giving the eyeshadow. Like I said, I have hooded lids, so for me to do a cut crease, I really have to over-exaggerate where my crease is. This is just kind of making the eyeshadow pop, so you can see that really pretty duochromy pinky gold color, and then I just kind of blend it out with that edge a little bit. Okay, then we're going to do the same thing on the other eye. I'm going to take a little bit of concealer. You can do both eyes at the same time. The concealer tends to dry down. I like it to be a little bit tacky. So I found, for me, it's easier to do one eye and then the other if you're quick. Or if you don't mind the concealer being dried down a little bit more, you can just go ahead and do both eyes at the same time. Sometimes I do that. It depends on the eyeshadow. If it really needs something to stick to, Again, I'll do one at a time because then it's not getting a chance to set. If it's something that just needs a neutral base that I want to pop, I'll do both at the same time. Just going back in with that same blushing pumpkin shade. And I'm just putting it all over where I put that concealer. So you can see. It makes it pop. It gives it something to stick to. I like beating a dead horse here, explaining that over and over. And then I'm going to go back in with Fall into Fudge in that same little brush. Just a little bit right there. Doesn't need a lot. And then I'm going to clean that brush off, and I'm going to take the Love and Pumpkins shade and just put a little bit more and make sure that that is blended. Okay. And then for the lower lash line, I'm going to make sure my brush is clean. I'm going to take that same like smudger shade, and we're going to do the same colors. We're going to do Love and Pumpkins, which is pretty light. I'm just going to put down a little bit of this. And then I'm going to take Fall into Fudge and run that, and then I'll go back in with that the Love and Pumpkins, blend it out if I need to. Generally with the lower lash line, you want to do about 1/3 of what you did on top. You don't want to do more than that, or it tends to be too much. So I just smudged Fall into Fudge and Love and Pumpkins under the lower lash. And then I'm going to take Something Sweet on that same flat brush, and I'm going to put this under just the outer part of my eyebrow. And then I'm also going to put this on the inner. And there's look number 2. So this is a pretty pink, kind of mauve-y color scheme out of using mostly these colors in this upper corner right here. So yeah, there's look number 2. I'll be back in just a minute and we'll get started with look number 3. Okay, I have cleaned my eyelids off a second time, re-primed them. Okay, and my eyes are a little bit sore. So I'm going to go back in with Love You a Latte at the top, and I'm going to put that all over just as a base because they're getting a little dry. I feel like it'll be easier to blend out the eyeshadow. Now for this look, I'm going to be using mostly these burgundy shades down here at the bottom. I may go into this quadrant that we just used a little bit. Again, there's some pretty like these cranberry colors that I want to use for this because I feel like it's a pumpkin spice palette. I can do orange and brown to death because there are a lot of pretty like neutral orangey brown colors, and orange and also brown colors that you can do. So let's do a cranberry kind of a look because I feel like people maybe not realizing that you can do a look like that. Okay, so again, for transition, I'm going to go into Oh My Gourd. I know, we're all shocked by that. Put that into the crease. And you don't have to do a transition color. It's become a habit for me, even though I tend to cover it up. But it's definitely not necessary. So I'm just putting that in the crease on both sides. Okay, I'm going to clean that brush off, and then I'm going to go in. This looks going to get a little bit dark real quick. I'm going to go in with a smaller, fluffy brush, maybe. Let me see. I'm going to try this. And this is a brush that came with like a Pure Cosmetics palette. It's just a flat fluffy brush. Okay, I'm going to go in with Spiced Coffee, which is this matte burgundy shade down here on the bottom. Tapping it off. And we're going to go into the crease. I like this brush. I don't have the palette anymore. The palette was very like powdery, had a lot of fallout. I guess it was very reminiscent of one of the Naked palettes I got in a boxy charm, but I like this brush, so I kept the brush. I like that it's a little bit flat. It's a good blending brush, but because it's squished, and with my tight lid space, it allows me to blend out the color without it, blowing up my whole eye, because that has happened where it's like up into my eyebrow real quick. Okay. I'm just taking this in the outer corner and I am blending it out. Now I could edit this and make it shorter, or speed this part up, but I want you to see how these shadows blend. For me, they perform like a typical Too Faced shadow. The quality is good. They blend nicely. Too Faced, I feel like, is pretty user-friendly when it comes to eyeshadow. You're not going to have the issues like with the Jaclyn Hill Vault collection where they're not blending. They're tricky to blend. I feel like no matter what your skill level is, with Too Faced shadows, they're easy to work with. So that it's a good, like, beginner, user-friendly brand, which I appreciate, and their quality is pretty consistent. I know sometimes their holiday palettes can be a little bit different formula, but so far in this one, the quality for me, I can't speak for everyone and I haven't watched anybody else's videos on this palette, so I don't know if people are having any troubles, but for me, the pigmentation has been really good, and I'm just doing the same thing that I did on this side, taking the outer corner, blending it into the crease. I'm going in a couple of times to get the pigmentation up. But yeah, I feel like Too Faced is a very good, like, consistent brand for the most part. And I love their packaging. It's very cute. Some people think they're a little too juvenile, but I like that. I don't know. I don't want to feel like an adult all the time, especially with makeup. Makeup's supposed to be fun. It doesn't need to be serious. So I took that all over. I'm going to go in with Sweater Weather and take that just in the outer corner. And now Sweater Weather is a shimmer. Like, I wouldn't say it's a shimmer. It's a satin. And I'm going to put this just in the outer corner. That up. It's the same color scheme, but it's going to give it a little bit more dimension. I feel like because it's a different finish, even though it's a very similar color. And I think I'm going to take Sweater Weather on the lower lash line. I'm still going back and forth with that, but I think that's very pretty. Clean this brush off, and then I'm going to take that little baby Sigma E36 that we used in this look, and I'm going to go into Fall into Fudge, that dark, it's not the darkest matte brown that's in here. And I'm going to take this and put this just in the outer corner again. To give it some dimension. Again, I'm not taking it all the way in. Okay. Just in the outer part, just to give it a little bit. Okay. And then my eyelid's pretty bare, but I'm going to take my Tarte Shape Tape and my little brush that I got in a set on Amazon. And you can use any flat brush. I like one side's around flat and the other one's tapered. The tapered side is good for when I do attempt to do a cut crease, so I'm just putting the concealer just on the line. Like I said, I wouldn't consider this a cut crease. Just kind of giving the shadow something to stick to, neutralizing it, and it makes it pop. So I'm going to go in with Sugar and Spice, this pretty silvery color down here in the lower corner on a flat brush. Just putting that all over my lid. Dragging that out. I think it's pretty. If you don't think it's pretty, that's all right. I'm going to do the same thing with the concealer. Again, like I said earlier, my eyes are a little bit hooded, so for me to do a cut crease, like and have it look like a cut crease, I have to go way above where my crease naturally is. So for me, this isn't a cut crease. I'm just giving it something to stick to. I guess it's borderline, but okay, same thing, going back in with Sugar and Spice. And I'm just going to put that all over the concealer. Okay, and I'm actually going to take this on the inner corner and drag it down to the lower lash line. So that's a pretty color, like over, bringing it down. That's the first part of the lower lid I want it on. And I'm going to take a little bit under my eyebrow. And then I'm going to go back in with that, yeah, this one. And I'm going to take a little bit of Sweater Weather on this flat. I'm just putting that right in there. So that there's not, I'm tapping it, I'm not brushing it, and I just want to diffuse that line so there's not like a stark line from where I put the concealer. And then I'm going to go in with this little smudger brush on the lower lash line, and I'm going to take, first I'm going to go in with Spiced Coffee, which was the matte shade, and I'm using the same colors that I used above, as above, so below. I feel like that was in a movie. Just could be making it, but being October, I've been watching horror movies, so that made me think of that As Above, So Below movie where they're in the catacombs. They're like trapped in the catacombs. Anybody leave me a comment if you saw that movie, or I'm just rambling here. So I put that in the lower lash line. My eyes are starting to water. This is why I don't do liner in the lower lash line very rarely, because my allergies are bad and my eyes water all the time. And there's no point in putting liner there. And I'm going to go in with a little bit of Sweater Weather, and I'm just going to do that in the outer third. I'm not going to drag it all the way over. I lost my big fluffy brush. There it is. Okay. I'm just going to blend. This has a little bit of Love You a Latte, that neutral shade on it, just to blend those out. And that's it. So you can get some pretty different looks with this palette. Yeah, like I said, I still like this palette. It's still a good palette. I feel like nobody's talking about it. You don't have to just stick with browns. There's lots of different colors. So hopefully this gives you guys some ideas if you have the palette or you're thinking about buying it. I still recommend it. It's still good. I like it. Hopefully this was helpful. Leave me a comment down below if you liked this video. If you didn't like this video, what you didn't like about it, what you did like about it. If you're new to my channel, thank you so much for stopping by. Please take a minute and hit that subscribe button. It would mean so much to me. You definitely want to stick around. I'm going to be doing some 3 looks, 1 palette videos again with some other palettes. So yeah, you won't want to miss that. So yes, definitely subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in my next video.